Adanna Okafor's salon, the royal touch, was the heart of Lagos high society. It wasn't just a salon, it was a legacy, built with sweat, dreams, and her mother's wisdom. Coral beads clinked on her wrist as she wove magic into her client's hair. Across the room, her cousin Zara observed her with sharp, calculating eyes. Zara, who had always lived in Adanna's shadow, envied the empire she built from nothing. That evening, at the family feast, Zara smiled sweetly and passed Adanna a steaming bowl of pepper soup. "To your future," she toasted, her voice laced with honeyed malice. Adanna drank deeply, unaware of the bitter herbs seeping into her bloodstream. By midnight, her vision blurred, her body collapsed, and as she lay on the cold tile floor, she saw the last thing she ever expected: Zara, leaning close, whispering, "Sweet dreams, sister. Your life is mine now." Adanna woke up to the scent of damp earth and rusted iron. Moonlight sliced through the iron bars of a makeshift prison. Her head throbbed, her once elegant dress torn. "Where am I?" she whispered, fear gripping her heart. Outside the cell, rough voices spoke in hushed tones. "She's too weak to fight. The boss said to keep her here for a few weeks. Let Zara handle the rest." Adanna's heart pounded. Zara. It was her. While Adanna languished in captivity, Zara stepped into her stolen life. She wore Adanna's designer clothes, walked into the royal touch, and assumed the role of its new owner. But her biggest goal was yet to be fulfilled: marrying Tobi Obasanjo, the billionaire real estate mogul. Zara, using forged messages, convinced Tobi that Adanna had suddenly left the country. Feigning heartbreak, she played the role of the grieving cousin who had loved him from afar. She was patient, weaving a web of lies and manipulation, until Tobi, desperate for companionship, turned to her for comfort. Zara didn't just rely on emotional manipulation, she orchestrated an elaborate deception. She ensured that every trace of Adanna's existence faded away. With the help of a corrupt lawyer, Barrister Olumiide, she forged documents showing that Adanna had legally transferred her business and assets to her. She also bribed a few close staff members at the Royal Touch to back her story. She used a private investigator to fabricate pictures of Adanna supposedly living abroad, enjoying a lavish new life without Tobi. These images, combined with tearful confessions of Zara's unspoken love for him, finally broke Tobi's resolve. Tobi, heartbroken and feeling betrayed by Adanna's supposed departure, found himself relying more on Zara. She played the perfect role: supportive, gentle, always there to listen. She cooked him meals, ensured he was surrounded by warmth, and carefully positioned herself as the woman who had been there all along. One fateful night, during a business gala, Zara orchestrated the final step. After ensuring Tobi was drunk, she guided him to her hotel suite. The next morning, she tearfully claimed they had crossed a line that could not be undone. Tobi, bound by his sense of responsibility, agreed to take things further. Within weeks, he proposed. Months later, Tobi stood before a crowd of Lagos elites, placing a ring on Zara's finger. The wedding was a grand affair, an event so lavish it graced magazine covers. Zara, wearing Adanna's white lace gown, smiled triumphantly. But not all were fooled. Some guests whispered about how quickly Tobi had moved on. One of them was Emeka Nwadike, Adanna's childhood friend, now an investigative journalist. "Something isn't right," he murmured as he studied Zara's forced elegance. Adanna had spent months locked away, her body weak but her mind sharp. One night, she found a loose brick in the wall. With sheer determination, she pried it open and crawled through the suffocating darkness of the Lagos streets. She stumbled into Emeka's arms. "Adanna? Is it really you?" Tears streamed down her face, but her voice was steel. "Zara stole everything from me. I need to take back my life." Emeka hired a private investigator, Beezy, a master of disguise. Beezy infiltrated Zara's new salon, now Zara's palace, as an apprentice. She found hidden ledgers, bank transactions, and messages with a shadowy figure known as Mustafa, a crime boss who facilitated the kidnapping. In a hidden drawer, she discovered a USB drive and photos of a drugged Adanna lying on a cold floor, guarded by Mustafa's men. Zara had demanded that Mustafa send these photos before she made the final payment. The night of Zara's grand charity gala, Adanna stood hidden in the shadows, her head wrapped in a scarf that concealed her identity. Her gaze burned with quiet fury as she watched Zara, adorned in Adanna's stolen jewels, laughing while the city's elite showered her with praise. Tobi, his smile strained, turned to Zara. "You remind me of Adanna, but something is missing." Across the room, Beezy moved quickly. She bumped into Zara, accidentally spilling wine on her dress. As Zara shrieked, Beezy slipped the stolen necklace into her rag. Adanna crept into Tobi's office and left the USB on his desk, along with a note in her handwriting. Later that night, Tobi stumbled into his office, weary from the gala. On his desk, he found an envelope with a simple message: "Ask Zara about Mustafa." Confused, he confronted Zara. "What happened to Adanna?" Zara's smile faltered. "She's gone. She left you." Tobi held up the USB drive. "I've seen everything." Adanna stepped into the room, shedding her disguise. "Did you miss me, sister?" Zara's face twisted in horror. You should be dead." Adanna's voice was ice. "You stole my life, my business, my fiancé. You left me for dead." Police sirens wailed outside. The doors burst open. Officers stormed in. Zara screamed as she was dragged away. Zara sat in the interrogation room, her face pale under the flickering fluorescent lights. Across from her, Detective Femi flipped through the evidence file, a smirk playing on his lips. "You really thought you'd get away with this?" Zara scoffed, crossing her arms. "You have nothing on me." Femi slid the USB drive across the table. "We have everything. The forged documents, bank transfers to Mustafa, and the pictures of Adanna in captivity. It's over, Zara." Her confidence wavered for the first time. Tobi paced outside the police station, guilt weighing heavily on his chest. How could he have been so blind? His heart had always belonged to Adanna, yet he had let Zara manipulate him. When Adanna stepped outside, his breath caught. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. Adanna's expression was unreadable. "You should be. But sorry won't fix everything." The courtroom buzzed as Zara was led to the defendant's stand. Journalists crowded the space, cameras flashing. The trial of the decade, they called it. Emeka testified first, revealing his findings. Then Beezy presented the stolen ledgers. Finally, the judge played the damning video of Zara confessing her crimes to Mustafa, unaware she had been recorded. Zara's face turned ghostly white. As Zara crumbled under pressure, Mustafa, her crime boss accomplice, made his final move. From his hideout, he called a corrupt officer. "Take her out before she talks," he growled. That night, as Zara lay in her holding cell, the door creaked open. A masked figure stepped in. A muffled scream echoed in the prison. Guards rushed in to find Zara clutching her stomach, blood seeping through her orange jumpsuit. The hitman escaped, but Zara barely survived. In the hospital, weak and trembling, she made a shocking decision. "I'll talk. I'll give you Mustafa." Zara's testimony led to a raid on Mustafa's operations. When the police stormed his compound, a gunfight erupted. Mustafa tried to flee, but Detective Femi was faster. "This is for Adanna," he muttered as he slapped the cuffs on the crime lord. Zara and Mustafa stood side by side in court, facing their sentences. The judge's gavel fell. Zara, 25 years for identity fraud, kidnapping, and conspiracy. Mustafa, life imprisonment for organized crime. As Zara was led away, she cast one last hateful glance at Adanna. I was always better than you. Adanna smiled. Then why am I free? With justice served, Adanna turned her focus to rebuilding the royal touch. Customers flooded in, eager to see the real owner back in charge. Tobi approached her one evening, hope in his eyes. Can we start over? Adanna hesitated. I don't know, Tobi. Love without trust is nothing. Months later, Tobi proved himself, supporting Adanna's dreams, standing by her side, never rushing her. He had changed. One day, under the mango tree where they first met, he got down on one knee. No tricks, no lies. Just love. Will you marry me? Tears welled in Adanna's eyes. Yes. At their wedding, Adanna looked radiant, a true queen who had reclaimed her throne. As she danced under the golden sunset, she whispered to herself. They tried to steal my life. But I am stronger than they ever imagined. And so, she rose, reborn, undefeated, and unstoppable.
If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to our channel for more African folktales and legends. Help us keep the traditions of our ancestors alive by sharing our content with your friends and family. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.